Where them Catholics at? Yeah. Yo, where them Catholics at? Man, what's the matter with these bishops?
Hey, welcome back, everybody. It's the Catholic Convert Show, and it's a beautiful, dreary, weirdly cloudy today. It's Monday, September 23rd, about a week before the Feast of St. Michael, my confirmation saint, so I'm looking forward to Mass this weekend. But this weekend was, no big deal. We were just dedication of the church anniversary and all that other. Yeah, nothing major.
Yeah.
Oh. So let me ask you a question, Ed.
Yeah.
What do you actually do outside of all the things you do? I know it's a very vague question. I just wanted to see if you would give me that exact blank look that I was looking for there.
Yeah,
I got it.
Outside of church stuff, I assume you mean.
Yeah, outside of church stuff, outside of, all the immensely demanding work you put in for this show.
Hey, it is not easy being a key grip. I will tell you that.
It's not easy.
A lot of stuff that happens behind the scenes. And actually the church part is firing up because we start a new year of CCD tonight. So I'll have my class, and then we are in desperate need of catechists. So I am going to take 2 classes on Wednesday evening. So I got to teach a CCD class. I got to sprint over to the church across the parking lot directly after to introduce a speaker who's going to be talking about something about the Blessed Mother. I don't remember exactly. And then I'll be there for 2 classes on Wednesday. I'll be there for my Bible study on Thursday. I'll be there for my men's organization on Saturday morning, first thing, 6 o'clock in the morning. So yeah, it's going to be busy, but I do find time to do other stuff too. I do all sorts of stuff. Well, we were talking about it before we got on here. I love being at the beach, and man, it was definitely a beach weekend that has just passed, because it was like 75, sunny, not a cloud in the sky. Just a beautiful day to just kind of put the old beach chair down on the sand and do your tootsies into the sand and read a book. And so I did some of that on Saturday and things like that. But I got all sorts of hobbies. I apparently I collect Catholic memorabilia, but I also
that's kind of where I was going with this. I don't even know how it came to be, but I just noticed that there seems to be a lack of hobbies when you talk to people today. Like, I remember when I was growing up, I had an uncle that collected stamps.
Yeah.
I had, you got those guys that just go fishing just to go fishing.
Mm-hmm.
Not like, oh, I'm trying to get into Bassmasters or anything like that, or I'm trying to get something to eat, which mostly I don't really think that might have been a hobby. It was just an excuse to sit next to the water and drink.
Yeah.
Away from their wives. But, think just random things like you don't see people do anymore. Model building. I don't see a whole lot of model builders anymore. I mean, there are probably some out there, but maybe it's my generation, the guys that are between like 35 and 45, they have no idea what to do with their time because they just seem kind of disinterested in everything. So they don't do anything at all, or they try to turn it into some kind of side business. Right. I remember one of my uncles, he was really good with like woodworking. He could whittle and make anything. Right. He would make these little decorative figurines that he would just put up on a shelf in the house. And he would do it just sitting there carving, by hand. And he didn't have like the full blown woodworking shop that looked like it cost 18 grand. And he's out there with the wooden mallet or any of that. But, you ask people, what do you do for fun? Oh, well, I
binge watch something.
I binge watch this series. I watch sports. I go to sports games. And that's what I don't consider those things hobbies.
No.
Hobbies has to be engaging, in some manner. Like,
Yeah.
I know a couple of people who are amateur radio guys, like ham radio. That's a hobby. It's certainly, and I think a prerequisite for a hobby should be that it, one, doesn't make you any money, right? And two, if it does make some money, it needs to make less than you spend on it.
I agree with that.
In order for it to be a hobby. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I turn it into a business, right? I know some ham radio operators, guys, like we've talked about, woodworking. Some people try to turn around and tell me that pipe smoking is a hobby. That's not a hobby.
So then I guess vaping is a hobby.
Yeah. What are you doing sitting on the porch relaxing with a cigar? Oh, it's my hobby. That's not the same thing. I don't know. I mean, people used to just restore classic cars in their driveways for no other reason than to do it. Yeah.
Well, actually, listen, I mentioned that I went, I was down at the beach on Saturday, but I also stopped over at a yard sale that was down the shore there and picked up an antique watering can that I'm going to restore, because that's another one of my hobbies. Is I love finding old beat up junk and restoring it to its former glory.
Yeah, stuff like that. And some people turn around and say, like working out is a hobby. That should just be like a part of your lifestyle, so you don't die young, right? You stay in shape, you preserve your health. Yeah. But hobbies in general, they need to be engaging either mentally or physically, and they need to be, again, not monetized. Otherwise, you've turned it into a side hustle.
Yeah.
Seems to be this thing especially with the generation that I mentioned, the 35 to 45, got to make some money on the side. And that's probably because the economy sucks with people like Biden and Harris, in the administration right now. But you don't see guys, building model railroads anymore, or you don't see a whole lot of people. Oh, I collect vinyl records. Believe it or not, vinyl was a hobby. Yeah. Photography, surfing. You surf. That's a hobby, right? It's something that you do simply for no other reason that you enjoy doing it, and it costs you some money to actually do it, and you're not getting anything out of it other than enjoyment. Some level of fulfillment of it.
Yeah. I also, talking about the beach and everything, I also collect seawater when I'm down there. I make my own sea salt. That's a hobby.
See, it's stuff like that. It's physically engaging. You have to walk out there and do it. You have to do the mental side of things with, all right, I got to do this, I got to do this, and I got to do this to make sure I actually get the sea salt. But people are like, okay, what are you doing for fun these days? Oh, I just sit around the house and watch old movies. That's not a hobby. And there's this
being lazy.
Exactly. There's this fine line between laziness and leisure.
Yeah.
Right? I'm sitting around and doing nothing on the chair because I finally have a day off. That's laziness. Leisure, you're getting something out of it. It's not just this act of recovery.
Yeah.
Leisure time was not ever thought of as some kind of chance to veg out, but it was an opportunity for you to pursue something that you're interested in. It's an outlet for the sides of a man that are probably not stimulated or addressed in his professional vocation. I always hated it when people would ask me like, oh, you ever thought about taking up journaling? Why in the hell would I want to write for leisure if I write for a living? It's just more work. No thanks. Right?
You can write
It needs to be something that is right. It's completely opposite of what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
But, it's something that increases your eye for detail, keeps your mind sharp, expand your creativity. You meet other people with the same interests, especially like those amateur radio guys. One, that's expensive as hell, at least for a setup, like initially. But they have this super tight community of other ham radio operators, and they're, one guy in Australia, one guy in Iceland, one guy in Michigan, and 40 others spread all over the world, and they're all just talking to each other, discussing radio theory. Or, hey, I had to relay emergency evacuation plans for, the hurricane that came through here in Florida, whatever, but it's something, right? It's something to do. It makes them a little more well-rounded. Now, you if you go and ask anyone, what are you interested in? And they can't tell you a definitive answer to what they're interested in because either A, they're just overstimulated as it is with, 24-hour media. And I don't mean media as in news, but I mean, it's on your phone constantly. It's on your screens constantly. You're engaging in it right now if you're watching or listening to this. But they have no answer for anything that they might be interested in. They've got no answer for what do you enjoy doing? I don't do anything I enjoy. Well, that's probably why you're miserable.
Probably.
That's why you feel like there's this like weird whole void that you've got. And I always talk about how I felt like I had this void inside me that was replaced and filled when I came to the church. And I still stand by that. But I've found lately that there's another hole that the church isn't filling. Right? Because being Catholic is not something that I do. It's something I am. Right? Being, as a writer, I feel like my creativity is kind of, overtaxed sometimes because I have to do it for a living. Right? And that's why I tell people don't ever buy into, well, if you do something you love, it'll never feel like work. Wrong. It's definitely work.
Yeah.
Right. But I have been feeling like there's some part that's just not been engaged. Like I feel perpetually bored. I can't go back and watch the old movies. I can't go back and watch the old TV series because I've seen them 1,000 times because they won't put out anything new and engaging and different except for maybe once every 3 years. I'm like, oh, that was a great 90 minutes. And then everything else goes back to sucking. And I'm like, I got no idea what I want to do because I already do so much. Like you do a lot. But again, you have these hobbies. You like going and picking junk and then turning it into treasure because you restored something to its natural, I say natural, to its original form and condition, right?
Yeah.
This jukebox was returned to its natural habitat. It's not what I meant at all.
Next week on Wild Kingdom.
On Wild Kingdom, here we have a Wurlitzer trying to mate with a bubbler.
Oh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
That's how you get a Berlinger.
Whoa. Possibly.
But no, seriously, you see it. I know you do. You see it in young people. What do you like doing? I don't know. I just go and hang out with my friends and we do nothing.
They don't hang with their friends. They're all in their separate homes and they're all like on the phones, messaging.
Well, when by hanging with their friends, they're all in like the same game lobby on PlayStation or Xbox or PC. That's their hobby. Is we just like get on, and there's nothing wrong with that if that's your hobby.
In moderation.
But I will say that it's weird that seems to be the most common hobby now. I don't see people collecting anything anymore. I don't see people, hey, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to take up ballroom dancing and channel my inner Fred Astaire. Right?
Yeah.
Now, granted, that might not be interesting to you. So cool, don't do it. But I don't see people, restoring classic cars. I don't see people getting into metalworking or leatherworking, collecting, building ships in a bottle, doing models. Like, what's your hobby? Oh, I just relax whenever I'm not working because I work a lot. And it's kind of sad.
It's very sad.
I do know plenty of people who have, expensive hobbies like shooting. Hey, I'm going to go and see how many times I can hit this steel target 1,000 meters away. That's a hobby, right? It's mentally stimulating. You have to physically go out there. And people go axe throwing. That's definitely a hobby. You've got these tobacco connoisseurs and aficionados. Now, don't get me wrong. Pipe smoking itself is not a hobby because you can just walk in there like, oh, let me get some Daybreak or, whatever from a tobacco shop, whatever's the cheapest. Or these people that take it to the nerd level. And that's what a hobby should do. It should take you to that nerd level, right? Where you become like a bona fide connoisseur of whatever it is you're trying to, learn about.
Yeah.
I've seen people do it with coffee roasting. And then it's my hobby. I buy coffee beans and I test out different roast techniques and make, from bean to brew process and try to get it just right. That's definitely a hobby, right? It's mentally stimulating. You're probably checking acidity levels and all this other. But no, most people now, they don't have a hobby. What do you enjoy doing? I don't enjoy doing anything other than sitting on the couch and watching Desperate Housewives. Okay. Sad. But I know a lot of people that have felt the same way that I'm feeling, where they're like, well, I go to work, I go home to my family, I come to all the church stuff, whether it's, mass, adoration, events for the parish. Okay, but those are things that you're doing that are part of your life. What do you do that's just for you that you enjoy doing? Well, when I'm not doing all of those things, I sit here and do nothing and enjoy doing nothing. My hobby is doing nothing. You don't have anything new out there that interests you. And I'm not saying that, you shouldn't be going and spending as much time as you are at your parish, but that's still not your hobby.
Yeah.
You doing all this volunteer work, you helping it with all these different ministries at your church, at all the different churches that you help at. That's awesome. Definitely don't stop doing it. But none of those things are a hobby. Like your faith or any aspect of it shouldn't be a hobby.
No.
Yes, it's fulfilling to sit and go through the readings of the church fathers, to spend time in prayer, to spend time at church, to spend time in adoration. All of those things are very important to your spiritual growth, but they're not leisure activities. And like I said before, leisure and laziness are two separate things. Leisure is engaging physically or mentally. But I don't think I've been able to get a straight answer out of people, or most people, when I say, what do you enjoy doing? What are your interests? Because they don't have any. They're just, I doom scroll on social media. I go to work and I go to church and I go to bed. Cool.
So sad.
But isn't it weird? I mean, there used to be all different kinds of clubs and meetups for all these different kinds of, you know, activities, I guess you could call it.
Yeah.
You know, we got these hobbies, you know, guys going metal detecting. That's a hobby.
Oh, I go metal
Golf is
detecting.
a hobby. You know, airsoft is a hobby. Wood burning is a hobby. Sailing. I just go sailing. Do you own a boat? Hell no, I don't own a boat, but I like going sailing. You know, I go scuba diving. That's a hobby. Rock climbing. That's a hobby. I do historical reenactments, or I'm a beekeeper. Those are hobbies. Not, oh, I tried to rewatch The Sopranos for the 50th time. And I don't even know if I would qualify camping as a hobby unless you're camping all the time. Because usually camping's like a vacation thing,
Sure.
right? Like I camp every weekend because I enjoy it. Well, it's definitely a hobby at that point.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess you could say the same for hiking unless you're going hiking all the time. I love this trail. I know every corner of this trail because I'm on this trail, you know, 4 times a month. I hike it every weekend. That's definitely a hobby.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me thinking about that old when we were, you know, younger, looking at, you know, prospects for marriage and relationships. Well, what do women want? Well, they want a guy with interests. You mean like bank interest? That's about the only kind of interest that they have now, is they're paying interest on loans. I was thinking, I don't have a hobby. And I absolutely should have a hobby.
You got to have a hobby.
I know. And I'm calling myself out here with this. That's you know, the big neon flashing sign at the end of this when I'm talking about how you can't find guys that have any interests. And I'm sitting over here going, here's the bombshell twist. I don't have a hobby and I need to find one.
You're a chicken farmer.
I'm not a chicken farmer. I just feed them and get eggs.
Okay. Well, wouldn't that make it a hobby then? If you're not like
No, because I eat. That's the only place I get eggs.
Oh, okay.
That's food production.
All right.
Like, I need a hobby, and there's plenty of things that interest me.
Yeah.
My problem is I can't decide on one because I've got wood carving kits that I was a carpenter forever. So I got into wood carving myself. I've got all the little different gauge chisels and scrapers and little Dremel tools. I've got wood burning kits, and I'll fiddle around with that if I get bored. But I don't have an actual hobby that's like the thing I've been doing forever.
Yeah, but who says you have to? Who says you have to decide on one? I mean, we already mentioned like 10 different things that I do in my spare time, but I collect Americana, like that 130-year-old flag behind me. I collect Petroliana. I collect like turn of the last century sports cards and sports memorabilia.
Well, that's one hobby that's collecting.
Oh, it's like, okay, but I restore crucifixes, vintage crucifixes, and I you know what else? All sorts of good stuff. Oh, I restore Tonka trucks from the like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Oh, that's
all
cool.
sorts of fun stuff. Yeah.
Back when toys didn't break.
They don't. I mean, I find these ones, they're all beat up and banged up and rusty, and I can bang the hell out of them, getting them back in shape. And then once I do all the scraping and everything and painting and finishing and everything, they look brand spanking new. It's amazing. Yeah, they were built for abuse.
Yeah, just like us.
Just like us. Yeah, but you can do. I write icons, right? I mean, you can do all sorts of stuff.
Oh, I know. That's what I'm saying. My problem is I've got so many random interests that I don't know where to settle on it. And I think the hardest part for me is choosing something that I know I'm going to suck at first, but it still interests me.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm like, you know what? I'm really considering just picking up guitar.
I think you should.
I think I should too. I haven't pulled the trigger on it because I'm a little self-conscious about it, right? I know like 12 bar blues, and that's just from like learning tabs because I can't read music. I'm getting better at reading music. Don't get me wrong. Getting better at reading music just from going to mass, you know, and we got the music sheets. So definitely getting better at reading music, but I am a little self-conscious about sucking when I start guitar. And I am because I have family members who have ears. That's why I'm self-conscious. I don't want that one moment where I'm sitting back here and my wife comes in and goes, all right, you've practiced enough today.
No,
Time for you to stop.
You take the guitar and go out into the chicken coop and you practice there. It might slow down.
I wonder why the chickens stop laying. It's because I've been psychologically tortured.
Right.
I think I'm a little self-conscious about it where my wife comes in, okay, you've practiced enough. You need to put that away.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I'll never touch it again. I'll be like, all right, yeah, I suck at that.
Mm-hmm. Well, it's not about sucking. It's about doing.
It is though. It is about sucking at something because there's not a single person out there who's a master at anything who was just always good at it. They had to suck at it. Right.
Oh, sure.
It's kind of like when I started boxing.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't let that be a hobby. I had to fight competitively. You know, it should have just been a hobby, but it wasn't. I had to take it to the next level, get a boxing license and, you know, all that other. And I kept telling myself the cost of admission is looking stupid.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same thing as being good at piano or being good at guitar. The cost of admission is sounding terrible.
Yeah.
It's just like when you write, the cost of admission is not knowing how to write.
Yeah. It's like when I went all in on being a snake charmer and, you know, you knew you were going to get bit.
The cost of admission is the flute, the basket, the snake, and a whole lot of anti-venom.
And a lot of anti-venom, yeah. But I powered through.
Yeah, but no, I've talked to a lot of guys at my parish, and all of them say the same thing. Just work, go home, come here. That's it. What do you like doing for fun? Yeah, and I get it. If anybody's busy, it's definitely you, and then me. But then I find it's like I've got these weird windows during the day too, because I got to maybe give this kid a ride to work or pick him up from work, or I got to run this errand, or I got to go to this thing, or, you know, got to sit down and record this show. I got to write some stuff for clients. And so I have like random weird windows. I can't go out and do anything.
Well, so you've got, I mean, there's a reason for it then, because like I remember, like, and I only have 2 kids, but when they were both younger and, you know, from their little tight period all the way up into like high school and everything, yeah, I was running them here and running them there and helping them with homework and helping them study and everything. And so I wasn't as involved in my hobbies and stuff then. So you got to give yourself a break. You know, you get, because I see that all the time.
It's not that. I mean, I'm not saying I don't do it because they're here. My kids are largely independent because that's the way we raise them. Like, sure. I obviously don't leave my younger kids home alone by themselves, but I can leave them here with their older siblings who are 16, 18, and 19 years old who still live here at home because they're working and saving money and whatever. I can leave them here with them and it's fine. What I'm saying is I've got these weird windows during the day where I'm like, what could I do for any kind of enjoyment that wouldn't require me to like, I'm going to go rock climbing. One, I'm in South Carolina, right? It's not like I live up, in Boulder, Colorado.
Yeah.
You know, I'm gonna go scuba diving. Where? The pond? No, it's not gonna work either. Yeah, I won't go scuba diving. That's where I draw the line. I've got zero reason to be in there with the Loch Ness monster or whatever the hell else is in there.
You should
If
try
I
it.
can't
One
see
time
it, I'm not. If I can't see the bottom and touch the bottom, I mean, even in like a 16-foot deep pool, I can see the bottom. I could swim to the bottom, but I don't want to be in water where I can't see what's in there. Can't do that.
I went with my one time down in Florida with my daughter, and she was only like probably 13 at the time. And we did one of those deals where you put on the snorkel gear and you swim with a ton of sharks. That was fun. You should give that a shot. That was tons of fun.
Yeah, I'll put that on the list. Right? It'll go towards the bottom. I got a lot of stuff to work through, but okay, I'll put it on the list.
Put it on the list, I'm telling you.
But that's why I was like, you know, we've got multiple guitars in this house because my son plays. I'm like, I should pick up guitar and learn to get better at guitar because, I've got an hour before I have to start my next thing. I don't have to leave. I can reach over, grab a guitar, you know, something like that.
Yeah.
Because the collecting thing, I don't want to do that. Like, I don't see how you enjoy that. It's just me accumulating more stuff. I've got a wife that does that already. You know how many times I want to shoot the Amazon driver? I don't know. I'm accumulating enough stuff.
Yeah. Well, you know, it's I wind up collecting things that I remember from my youth. And since I'm 73 years older than you, to you it would be like, you know, it would be collecting whatever, I don't know, plastic bags from grocery stores or whatever, because I'm old enough that I remember like stuff that used to be around and isn't anymore and is really cool. Like a lot of the different, like I said, Petroliana. So there's different gas station signs and stuff that I actually do.
Oh yeah, those things are cool though.
Aren't they cool? But when I was a kid,
those are very cool.
They were still there. They were still out in front of the shops and stuff. You know, I got a Royal Crown Cola, big old thermometer thing, and it's from the 50s. Now, obviously, I was born in the 60s, but still, but it's when I was walking to an old country store back when I was a little kid, one of those would be hanging on the wall.
That thing was 10 years old hanging on the wall. Yeah.
It was only 10 years old. So yeah. So to me, it's kind of cool. I mean, that's why I restore the old Topic trucks too, because man, I beat the heck out of mine when I was a kid, and I would still have them, except my mom lent them to a neighbor and she never gave them back.
Lent them.
Yeah. And then years later, my mom asked her about them, and she brought over a bunch of like newer beat up plastic ones. They were not Tonkas. And my mom said, those are not the trucks I lent you. So they're just gone forever. So that's why. So I guess that's why I was inspired to collect and restore those, because
childhood trauma.
Yeah, childhood trauma. Take it back. But you know, that's what it's all about. So that's what the kind of stuff I collect memories. Let's say that.
Yeah,
although I will say, when that 130-year-old flag was around, I wasn't. So that's not a childhood memory.
Fair enough. Yeah, I was looking the other day, you know, the movie Back to the Future.
Yeah.
Right. So Marty going from 1985 to 1950, it's the same as if today we went back to 1994,
which is bizarre, isn't it?
It's I don't like it. I don't like it one bit.
If you think about today and you think about 1994, you really it doesn't appear that different to me.
There's a cultural difference because it massively sucks today. You had a bunch of degenerates running around being normalized.
Well,
but, you know, but how different it was from like 1985 to 1950.
It amazes me. It just blows me away.
It's night and day difference. But if we go back that same amount of time, we're just sitting in 1994 pretending to laugh at episodes of Friends.
And it's weird because I used to say that to my kids all the time, like that my growing up and the way my dad grew up were very, very similar. But my growing up and the way my kids grew up were very, very different. So it's amazing how that works, you know?
Yeah, it's like progress just kind of stopped.
I guess, yeah, it's weird, but
Everything got bland and utilitarian. Nothing was like the 50s had this aesthetic to them, right? That's why we always like we love looking at, the pictures of like, the chicks in poodle skirts and the greasers.
the
Make
cars,
mine with relish. Make mine with relish. All right, Rizzo, calm down.
yeah.
Tell me more. Johnny. It had a certain kind of aesthetic to it. The cars look great. Now they're all just this. They all match. There's nothing unique that stands out. It's very weird to me. And when I saw that pointed out, buddy of mine, Alan, had posted something about it. And he was like, yeah, Marty going back from 1985 to 1950 is the same time lapse if we were to go back from today to 1994.
It's crazy.
And it's so weird that you wouldn't notice that big of a difference outside of the lack of degeneracy running wild and being normalized in the streets. I think that was like 3 years before we closed the last of the state-ran mental institutions. So life was still kind of good.
Yes, it was. Bring back the institutions.
Hey, don't get me started on that. We really do need to bring them back.
There's one not far from where I live here that it was built in the early 1800s, but during the Civil War, it was the main hospital that Union soldiers who were wounded would be shipped to for the recovery. And it's a very, very haunted place. But then after the Civil War, it became a mental institute, and it was up until like the 90s. So it's supposedly very haunted, but it's fun just to even drive by it and check it out. But there you go, a little bit of history there. But yes, we do need to bring back the asylums.
Yeah.
So I see a lot of people walking back on the street here that could stand a meet and greet with one of their doctors there.
It used to be the running joke, right? We could be like, oh, they escaped the asylum. They were never in it in the first place when they should have been. That's the problem.
That is the problem. It's I can't even. It's amazing to me the things that are taken looked at today as being just normal. It's like, oh well, that's just who he is, or that's just who she is. Well, okay, they're insane. That's who they are. But
yeah,
why
they need professional help and to be heavily medicated, possibly lobotomized.
They still do that.
If they don't, they should probably bring it back. We have the technology to make it simpler. Could even be laparoscopic at this point.
It probably could, but that takes some of the fun out of it. But but yeah, it's crazy. But yeah, getting back to the hobbies, people need. You know what? But then how many people would avoid going to the asylums if they took up a hobby? I think that would be the point here, right?
See. There's this, I can't remember who quoted it, and I'm definitely going to butcher it here, so you'll have to forgive me. But I saw something once. It may have been this morning. It may have been 3 months ago. I don't remember because it all runs together.
Yeah.
But it was something about a man who does not have purpose will distract himself with pleasure. And I thought about that. I'm like, well, the problem is, a lot of people just don't take enough time for pleasure and leisure in their lives. Everything has to be like this. You got to hustle and grind 24/7 like some little robotic monkey. And nobody just does anything for the sheer enjoyment of it. Like I said, people want to take up hobbies all the time and they go, oh, I could turn this into a business. When I was doing little wood carvings and someone would come to me and they'd say, you should sell those. Get the hell away from me. No, I'm not trying to add more stress to my life by trying to market wood carvings. The hell away from me. I want to do it because I enjoy it. Right. Yeah. Thanks for ruining it. Because now I can't help but think of how much I could get for one of these bears I made with a chainsaw.
Yeah, yeah, but and you talk about like doing things just for the sheer pleasure of it, and it doesn't have to involve things or money or anything like that. It's like when I tell you that I love to just go down, like on Saturday was the perfect day, just sitting on that beach. You throw a line in the water, you hop and sit your butt down in the sand, and you just relax and you just look out there. That smell, the sounds, the everything that's going on, and um and I even mentioned this on X while I was there. I posted a picture, just did the ocean sitting in front of me, and because I was reminded of Saint John of Damascus when he said, the entire world is a living icon of the face of God, and that's what I think when I do those kind of things. You're just sitting there, you're looking at all this beauty that surrounds you, and you're just blown away by it and amazed by it. And people don't do that. You're like you say, they're running, running, running. But where are you running to? That's what I want to know. Okay. You're making more money. You're doing this. You're doing that. But you're even acquiring more crap. But what is the point of all of it if at some point you don't sit down and enjoy it? And I think that goes back to the whole thing with hobbies. Is that's your time to just sit and relax with things that uh, I don't want to say they're important to you, but in a sense they are. They're things you enjoy, and you just spend time with those things, and you enjoy them just for the simple fact that they exist. Just like when I go to the beach, I enjoy the waves and the seagulls and that salty air smell just for the simple fact that they exist. Because if you think about it, what does this salt air really smell like? I don't know. I mean, I don't. To me, it's the most beautiful smell ever. To a lot of other people, especially if you're not familiar with it, you might say, what
It
died?
smells like the underside of my car is rusting.
Right. Exactly. It does. But to me, it conjures up first of all, it conjures up memories of an entire childhood spent with every summer day being on the beach and hanging out there and riding the waves and stuff. It brings back memories of being with my own children and sharing those same experiences with them. It's nothing better than you got your two kids and you're sitting on the beach watching the sunset. It's just having a cone, ice cream cone, and just the three of you sitting there, and everything is wonderful and everything's perfect for that moment. But today nobody finds enjoyment out of something that cost me $1.89, an ice cream cone. It has to be bigger and better and more expensive and everything, and so we don't enjoy things for this.
It's got to be a thrill of some sort.
Exactly right. You're talking about your time on the beach. That sounds like when I took the entire family for a 12-month tour of Western Europe. And we did this and we did that. And it only cost us $4.6 million. I'm like, well, no, I don't think they're really quite the same. You know what I mean?
Wait, I got a buddy. He's very hardcore blue collar guy. He's been blue collar all his life, ex-military guy. You know what he just recently found? And I say recently, probably within the last 5 to 6 months, found a lot of joy in sketching.
Sketching. There you go.
And I thought about that. I'm like, I don't see anybody like, what do you do for fun? I paint. Mm-hmm. But I never show anybody what I painted, and I never try to sell what I painted. Just like I have 467 books of sketches that I've never tried to sell or show anybody. Why? Mm-hmm. Because it's none of their friggin' business. I just enjoy doing it.
Yeah.
But no. Yeah. But that's my point. Is that people will start off with, well, I took up painting. Oh, you're really good. You should sell these. No, jerk face. I don't want to sell them. I want to paint because I enjoy it. Because if I sell one and then I paint another and then nobody wants to buy it, I'm going to have this weird existential crisis because, I guess I was a one-hit wonder. Now I don't enjoy painting anymore. Or you end up with that like block where you can't paint because you're too worried about, will this sell or not? Yeah. But no. Do it because you enjoy doing it, and screw anybody that turns around and says you should sell these. They would put it up in the lobby in a doctor's office. I don't care. They'll put it in the Vatican. I don't care either.
Well, that might be fun though.
Yeah, no, I wouldn't even want that. Because there's this inherent mentality now of you should monetize this. Yeah, you should sell those. My little girl loved making bracelets with this little bracelet maker kit. And I'll tell you what, I got sick and tired of stepping on thousands of beads every single day because she had zero cares in the world as to how many beads rolled off the kitchen table and somehow ended up in my path. And I'm still finding beads now. This was like 2 years ago. But the very second one of her brothers was like, you should make them like this because people buy them. She lost all interest in doing it because she's like, I tried it once and now I don't even enjoy it anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. No, she was doing it for the joy, and that's
exactly
what a great lesson.
And that's the point.
Yeah.
Nobody does anything just for joy anymore. And if they do, man, they're keeping it might be, they might be keeping it secret because they don't want some jerk to come up to them and like, oh, you should monetize that.
Yeah. It's like I get that sometimes from friends, whatever, they'll see some of the items that I restore and I say, oh, wow, I just saw one of those on eBay. You can sell that for $400. I'm like, yeah, I guess I could, but I'm not going to. I mean, to me, it was that I actually, but I'll tell them, but you know what? But I found that at a yard sale and I gave the guy $3 for it. And then I put, sweat equity into it, pounded out the dents, scraped it down, sanded it down, blasted it, repainted it, refinished it, made it look brand spanking new. What it is worth now, I don't know, and I could care less. I took it.
What are you doing with it? It's going to go on my wall, and when I die, it'll probably end up in a dumpster, and someone just like me in 50 years will find it rusted,
do it again,
tore it up, and start the process over again.
Exactly. And to me, that's the point. It's not that, okay, you bought it for
enjoy doing it.
Exactly. Yeah. The fact that I paid $3 and it's worth $400. Okay, it's money.
But it costs you way more than you'll ever get out of it because 1, you had to buy it in the first place. 2, you had to buy the tools, the paint, the materials for sanding and restoring and the chemicals and all this other. You had to buy all those things. It's money out of pocket that you're not getting any return on investment on, other than the intangible amount of joy that you got from the process of just doing that and be like, damn, this is cool. It looked like this, and now it looks like this because I spent 3 times the amount of it's worth in restoring it to a point where it's probably worth more, but I'll never know because it's just going to sit on the table or on a shelf or on the wall.
Yeah. Yeah. No,
and people hear that and they go, but why? You're just wasting money. It's not wasting money.
No, it's not. It's like,
but everyone thinks about it in those terms.
Yeah. Remember last week, one time I showed you off air or whatever you want to call it, like a 1940s wooden bubblegum machine that I had restored. I mean, the thing was ready for the dumpster and I restored it back to its original and it's beautiful. Well, what I think about it when I see it is that, a few years from now, I'll have grandkids that their big excitement will be, oh, if I go to grandpa's house, he's got pennies stacked there and I can get a couple of chiclets out of that old bubblegum machine, So to me, these future memories are worth so much more than putting it on eBay and selling it for $100, and people, some people just don't get that. They don't get it.
Absolutely. I like that. I never even considered that.
It's the same thing with
this desk. This desk was in the British War Office in World War II.
Which is awesome.
You know what's going to happen to it? One of my kids might take it, but there's a huge chance that it just ends up in some thrift store getting sold for $30.
Yeah. With no one
turn around and sell it. I could turn around and sell it because I bought this thing from an old Scottish lady. Her daughter, after she had passed away, because she worked in the British War Office.
Yeah.
I could probably sell this thing, but I won't because I just like the desk. It's way too small.
Yeah.
For the amount of space I need, but I like the desk, so I'm keeping it.
Yeah. It's the same thing. Like, I talk about the restoring the Tonkas, and it's great memories for me. But then, how cool is that going to be when I've got like some grandkids 10 years down the road, that always are like, when they go to my house, they pull out those restored Tonkas and they're rolling around on the floor with them and stuff. I mean, that's awesome. You can't put a price on that, you know. So
Yeah, you know, I just, when I look at it, I'm like, I want a creative hobby, which is why I'm leaning towards music.
I think
because one, I'm not going to draw. I'm not going to do that. Definitely not going to happen. I used to do that as a kid because I thought I wanted to, but it was more of like a weird expectation from other siblings. We're like, well, they draw. Here's an art kit I bought you for Christmas. I'm like, I don't care. You know, I'm not going to paint, but people are like, well, you should write as a hobby. I will stab you in the neck with a typewriter. Right? I write for a living. I definitely don't want to do it as a hobby.
I can see you maybe getting into origami.
My son likes origami, and I can do like the little frogs that you make them jump off the table.
Yeah, or the crane, the very popular crane.
I can't do the crane. I haven't figured that out. I can do the little frogs, like I said, and then you hit the little butt and they jump. Yeah, I can make those, but it's not something I would want to do. Like, oh, let me go ahead and chop down 573 trees. No, because I'm definitely going to go through.
I think you need to get into origami, and I think you need to get yourself a curio cabinet to display your origami. That's my recommendation to you.
I told you, I'm not in the interest of accumulating more stuff.
Well, you're going to get hooked. I can just sense it.
Yeah, not going that route.
Okay.
But, we already have guitars here, and they don't take up any more space than they're already taking up. And it's not like the music is going to clog, any clutter areas of the room. So that's why I'm leaning that way.
I think it's a good idea.
I don't. Could you imagine? though? I turned into like, I don't know, some, white Santana, and they're like, "Oh, you should play for money." Oh gosh, now I got to break the guitar.
Well, that would be the Who. But I want to hear by next Monday, I want to hear the intro to Smoke on the Water.
Dude, that's 3 chords. That's easy. Well, that's like the first thing I ever learned.
Same you, me, and everyone else.
Yeah. And I do it all on the low E string too. It's just so much easier. Open 3-5, open 5-3-5. But no, like I see so many dudes that they feel like, I ain't got nothing to do. I'm miserable. I'm praying about all this stuff. And like we talked about last week, prayer is awesome, but you got to do some things to, give that prayer an extra boost.
Yeah.
If you don't have any interest, you don't have any outlet other than just, I'm a husband, I'm a dad, I'm an accountant or an oil field worker or whatever, and you don't do anything that's simply for the leisure of it, you're going to be miserable.
Sure.
Like, I don't go to church for leisure. I don't go to adoration for leisure. I don't read books about the faith for leisure. To me, that's work because I'm trying to learn more and get deeper into my faith.
Yeah.
What am I going to do just to enjoy?
I hear you.
Right? And that's going to feel rewarding because it was a challenge.
Yeah.
You don't get that out of, playing video games or watching, Breaking Bad for the 15th time. One day, you're going to have to do a video tour of all of the stuff you've collected.
I will do that. It'd be very
because that is a legitimate hobby. You're collecting things. That means you actually have to go out and search for them. Then you're like, oh, let me research some provenance on this item. Oh, I'm definitely getting that. Oh, now I need to restore it. Or this thing should probably be put into a frame. All those things. That's a legitimate hobby.
Yeah. It'll be fun. I'll give you a tour of the beach room. That's where most of the good stuff is.
Yeah, just walk in. Look at all of this crap.
Hey, wait a minute.
But yeah, That would be cool. Just a little video tour of all the cool stuff that you've got.
It'd be fun, and I'd have to actually go downstairs to the Vatican archives and break out a lot of that stuff and set it up, because a lot of really cool stuff down there. But yeah, even just the stuff on display is really cool, really good stuff.
Take the stuff that you have on display, like, all right, I've had this up for a year. Let's flip it around to something else.
And I should do that, but the problem is I'm one of these people that change freaks me out. So like, you come home and like some furniture's moved or whatever. I'm like, no.
Oh, it's got to move back.
I'm going out on the porch. I'm going to count to 10. When I come back in, everything better be back the way it was when I left this morning. Change is not good.
Yeah, I'm the same way with my wife. Most people decorate for holidays. My wife decorates for seasons. She's like, oh, it's spring, everything has to change. Oh, it's summer, everything has to change. But there's like a 10-degree difference between spring and summer. I don't know why nothing's different. But then, we're decorating for fall. Oh, now we're also going to take down the fall decorations. We're going to add Halloween decorations. Then we're going to remove Halloween decorations, add new fall decorations. And then those come down. And then we add, Christmas or December winter decorations. And then we add some Christmas decorations. And then we remove Christmas decorations. I'm like, I'm pretty sure the square footage of my house has gotten smaller just because of how many times she's painted. Yeah.
I do have a collection of vintage Halloween decorations. That's pretty cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, it's good stuff. I have to, it's tradition because my great uncle on my father's side invented the jack-o'-lantern. It's a whole long story, but it is verifiable. I'm telling you. But it was originally a turnip, not a pumpkin. But the rest is,
Well, you know what happens if you put Halloween decorations up too soon, right?
No, what happens?
They call it premature jack-o'-lantern.
Oh, brother. No, it's just terrible. In any case.
Yeah, had to go there. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's all right.
Not sorry.
I know you're not. Yeah, so the bottom line is people get out there, do something with your life, will you please? And do something fun, do something just for the sake of doing it. Have a blast. Enjoy yourself. And you don't even have to spend any money doing it.
But if you do, that's fine. That's
fine. But that's
the money should be for the thing, not like turning it into an event.
Yeah,
and exactly. It'll be listening like, I didn't hear anything but like a few words about being Catholic on today's episode. Look, this is stuff that people deal with. All right. These are topics that I've talked about with countless Catholic guys and Catholic women. They're like, well, I devote all of my time to the church. That's nice. And then I find myself in these like spiritually dark, depressing phases. Okay, cool. Are you doing anything that you just purely enjoy?
Yeah. Well, being well-rounded is part of being Catholic. Having interests, having things outside of the church that you care about and that are important to you, and getting involved in. And there's actually people outside your door that you can get together
there
with.
Are humans out there.
There are humans. I've heard rumors. But
no, you can't do that. You have to be stapled to the chair, except for when you're let go to mass, and then any other times you're handcuffed onto the kneeler and forced to watch EWTN.
There's a couple of times in the Gospels where after a long day or a long week of preaching and healing and things like that, Jesus insisted on getting with the guys, hopping in a boat, going to the other side of the lake or whatever, and saying to them, we need to chill. We need to relax. We need to just eat some fish and talk and have a little leisure time and have a little fun. So this doesn't come from me. This has come from our Lord. That's all part of life.
If you don't like it, argue with that guy.
Yes. You will have your opportunity.
Get up with him.
Get up with management.
Oh. But you know what? Your hobby can be Legos. I don't care what it is. Just do something that's just for you. And that's preferably doesn't involve anything online.
Yes, preferably.
Doom scrolling and arguing with tranny weirdos. Oops. Get canceled for that. Oh well, I don't care. We got 15 seconds before I put. I'm talking about Nissan transmissions.
Oh, okay.
Anyway, 8 seconds. I'm gonna end before this hour's up.
God bless.